Hello, friends, and welcome. I'm Crystal Joy of CJoyYoga. A lot of you have been with me for a long time, but I have some new friends coming around. And so I just want to do a brief little talk in the beginning. And that is one of my main missions is to keep this accessible, not to make it so that only rich people can afford these tools, right? Not only that, but the way I teach, I try to teach. So if you've never tried this stuff before, you have an entrance point into it instead of walking into a studio or the various things that may seem intimidating to you, right? There are three things y'all can do to help me with that. You can like every single video, Instagram post, even if you don't love it. Liking it helps make it more accessible to other people. They can find it. You can subscribe to my channel. Same idea. The more subscribers I have, the more it starts to get in other people's algorithms. And of course, there's the brilliant, brilliant way of if there's anyone you think would benefit from this stuff, send the videos, send the posts to them, share it with them so it starts to get out to others. And if you have the means, you love it, and you want to support me financially so I can keep doing this, yeah, I would love that. Become a Patreon subscriber. There are a few different tiers and join we're not a resistance, what are it? Become a spiritual warrior with me. Okay, enough of that talking. We are going to go into what I'm going to call the core, the abdominal core, as another piece of our foundation. We did feet 2 weeks ago. We've gone up to the thighs and how their position affects the low back and sacrum, since so many of us, 80% of the population, has low back issues or sensitivities. And now we're going to talk about the core, right? I think it's the only thing that supports the spine, but we're going to talk about the abdominals. The only reason I have a blanket down is because it's really chilly in Walla Walla this morning, and I'm keeping myself warm. But go ahead and roll down onto your back. That's where we're going to start today. And take just a couple of moments, right? You can walk your feet out a little wider than your hips and let the knees lean in. You can extend your legs out to straight. You do whatever position feels best in your body this morning or whenever you're doing this. Arms out, palms up, and just notice where you're at in your body. More appropriately said would be where your body is at this moment in time. So we're checking into areas of tightness, resistance, dullness, throbbing, pain. Also check into a few areas that have just openness, spaciousness, and feel really good. Notice those too. Right? Noticing the breath. We're not going to get into subtle body as much, but my more, I'm putting this in huge air quotes, advanced practitioners check into all your subtle body stuff. And then we're going to go ahead and all of us put our feet on the ground at the knees bent. Walk your feet about as wide as your mat. Slide your arms up a little bit so they're teed out and let your legs swoosh over to the right. And inhale up, then you'll exhale to the left. So now we're adding breath. Inhale up. We call this one windshield wiper twist. As the knees go to the right, maybe turn your head to the left. Inhale up. And as you have your knees move over to the left, maybe turn your head to the right. Come on back to center. We got one more. As the knees go to the right this time, pause. And then let that left knee, that's your top knee right now, let it pull forward towards the foot side of the mat, kind of the right foot side of the mat, not down, forward. And just pull out of that left hip, low back area. Come back up to center, let your knees go to the left, and now the right knee is your top knee, right? So let that right knee gently reach forward towards the foot side, right? And pull and lengthen out of that right hip, low back, whatever you're feeling. Inhale, come back up. Walk your feet into hip distance, bring your right leg in, and give it a little hug. Let that low back round. circle your right foot one direction and then go the other. And bring that foot down and then bring the left leg in. And again, just start by hugging it in. Notice the low back, the sacrum. Take that left foot and start to circle the left foot around and go the other way. Okay. Now bring your legs up into what we call tabletop. Put your hands on your thigh bones as close down to your hip crease as you can get them, right? So the heel of the hand by the hip crease. And then you're going to do an isometric action. It's a push-pull. So simultaneously, I push my hands into my thighs and I pull my thighs back into my hands. And hopefully with that, when you tune in, you can notice that there's a lot of muscles. So that's exactly as I say that. But that fascia and the muscles kind of gently move into the body. And we start to ignite what I call the corset for a shortcut. It's the transversus abdominis, right? And go ahead and bring those feet down. Just let it be just that. And just notice. Now, one thing I want to be really clear about is when we lift weight or when we start to do push-pulls, you don't want your belly to bulge up to the ceiling, right? That means your muscles are pushing up and possibly pushing through a fascial line on the front. You want to have your frontal hip points pull in and you want your belly to pull down. So if it doesn't do that, you might do this work with your feet on the ground before bearing weight. Bring your right foot up, keep that belly knitted in and pull down. Bring your left leg up. One more time, put your hands on your thighs and do the push-pull. My hands pushing into my thighs pulling back into my hands. Hopefully we're starting to get a felt sensation of the corset. So I'm going to call it the corset for now, right? And breathe. And bring one foot down and bring the other. So it's not like I'm trying to power and do hardcore. Right now, we're just trying to figure out what freaking muscles I'm talking about, right? Okay, so now you're going to go ahead, bring your arms down by your side, palms can be down. Find that knitting of the abdomen into your center. Gently pull the belly down. But if you pull it down so far, the low back flattens. That's not equanimity, right? You want the low back to come off of the floor just a little bit, the belly to pull down, so they're pulling towards each other gently from top to bottom, I could say, and also from right to left. So let that whole abdomen, all sides of the body gently, did you hear me say gently? Gently pull in. And then go ahead and lift the right leg up, tabletop. And exhale, let's add breath. You're going to bring that down. Keep the knee bent at that 90 degrees, so my heel taps a little forward, right? Keep that knitting of the abdomen and bring that back up to tabletop on an inhale. Exhaling it down. So you have a pattern. If anyone's new, I set a pattern in place often, and then I say follow your breath. So you're lifting and lowering the right leg, inhaling it up, exhaling it down. Try not to let the right hip drop or move. Try not to let the belly bulge up, which is also slightly different than the low back bowing up. We don't want either of those things to happen. And then the next time the right leg is up, bring it in, hug it in, and notice how your low back rounds to the floor. Allow that to happen. That's called flexion, right? Bring that right foot down. We'll do a psoas stretch later, I promise, right? And then from there, find the knitting of the abdomen, but again, also the low back gently pulling up, the side waists pulling in, everything. It's that corset, right? Add pelvic floor work and bring that left leg up on an inhale, tabletop. So now keep the knee bent at a 90. And when you exhale, you're going to tap that left heel down, never bringing the weight fully down, right? Inhaling up. I do not believe that if you move faster, this is more beneficial. I think the opposite is true. And I do not think if you do more of them, it's better. I think moving slowly and mindfully, trying to make sure you truly are engaging the transversus abdominis, the corset, right? Keeping the pelvic floor engaged. I think when we move fast, if there are muscles that don't really want to work or are weak,
we move into the psoas or various things and we forget to turn the other ones on, right? The next time the left leg is in, bring that in. Everyone talks about how they're not strong enough in their core. I don't believe that to be true for most people. I think for most people, they just overuse certain muscles and underuse other ones, and we need to retrain the abdomen. Okay, go ahead and bring that right leg in. Rock your knees from side to side. And then go ahead and we're going to do one more thing down here. Bring those legs in the tabletop. So hopefully it's familiar. We're going to knit the abdomen in, the low back pulls up, so there's the natural curve. Side waist comes in, right? And then from there, you're going to interlace your hands behind your head. Take an inhale. And with an exhale, push your upper belly down so much you lift your upper body a little bit, not very far. And if the belly just went up to the ceiling, leave the head down or leave the legs on the floor and try to find the proper muscles. You don't want to keep pushing through that fascia on the front side. Go ahead and right heel moves forward, right shoulder towards left hip. Inhale back to center. So it's not a traditional bicycle. Let that left heel move forward, left shoulder, not elbow, towards the right hip. A little more effective at moving across those front diagonal lines, right? Right heel forward, right shoulder towards left hip. Leave the leg a little higher or don't go out as far with it if that feels like too much. Imagine that you had your hands on your thighs and that you were doing the push-pull between the hand and the thigh that we did earlier. Isn't this fun? We're obsessed with doing abdominals. Come on down with your upper body, hug your knees in. And I don't think that's a good thing necessarily. I have so many things I could say, but it's a short video. Go ahead and rock up. Come to hands and knees. And moving in and out of cat-cow. And then we're just going to do one more. I want this video to be a little shorter than 20 minutes, so hopefully you can fit it in maybe a couple of times this week. So imagine, if you will, that you were still laying on the ground, or I could say the ceiling came down and touched the back of your head, your shoulder blades, your low floating ribs, your hips, your pelvis, but your low back would have its natural curve just ever so slightly away from that ceiling, right? So try to imagine you have a ceiling that your body is moving up into, right? And then go ahead and curl your right toes under. You're not going to lift the leg yet, but straighten the right leg out, toes on the ground. Pause. I can stand to push more through my left shin, really get my fingers pushing down. So what else can you contribute from foundation, the ground? And then when you're ready, try to lift that right leg without lifting the hip. The ceiling would not allow you. When I work privately with people, I put my hand on their pelvis or I'll put a block and I'll be like, don't let that block fall, right? And then that left arm may reach forward and up. Now, patterns that happen, the belly drops down, the low back kind of arches more than its natural arch. Maybe you're looking back at your knees, so try to imagine that ceiling and have those same points of contact into the ceiling. Bring that down. Okay. Find neutral. So again, I think that ceiling visual helps a lot of folks. Do not lift the leg yet, but curl your left toes under and straighten it. As the heel reaches back and the chest reaches forward, you have opposition, right? You get elongated. Now, what muscles can turn on to support it? Push the right shin down, the fingers get out of your wrists. Maybe that left leg lifts, but don't let the hip lift. You could put a block on your pelvis. It would give you a lot of information. That right arm might reach forward and lift up and get longer. Modifications, I keep my right fingertips on the ground but still lengthened. I keep my right hand under my shoulder and only do my leg. Bring that down. Child's pose. Knees wide, big toes touch. If your knees give you any grief, you could try to leave them a little higher and see if that helps you out. I like to sway my hips right to left. My hips and knees tell me that's okay. Listen to your body. And come on back through center. And here's the last piece of this. And I want you to look at the screen for just a second. We're going to go to where we just were, right? But then I'm going to say your elbow and knee will start to move each other. But the thing I say before that, and I think is the most important piece to really ignite through the abdomen, is I round into cat. I pull my belly up first and then bring my limbs in. And then when you send it out, don't let the belly drop down. Yeah? So neutral, find that ceiling and all the points of contact. Go ahead and curl the right toes under. Pause for a second, get longer, support, and lift right leg. Left arm lifts, or maybe just the leg. Inhale. When you exhale, pull the belly up around the spine like crazy and try to bring the limbs in. And then send it out without dropping the belly down. Neutralize neck. Exhale, pull in. Belly up first, right? And set that down. Just two of those and breathe. Again, you don't need to, I don't think you need to do 20 reps 12 times today. And curl the left toes under. Try and come back to it a few times during the week. Lift the left leg, lift the right arm, and see if you don't start to find these muscles, right? Pull the belly up, bring the elbow and the knee in. Inhale out. One more time. Round the spine first. Bring elbow and knee in. Send it out. Set that down. Child's pose or a pose where you can find softness and you do not have weight in your wrists. Feel free to stay still or add gentle little movements. And just notice while you're here, where's the body at this moment in time? Push into the ground and come up. You might sit in cross-legged. I like to kneel. My pelvis actually wants me to kneel. I can do cross-legged a little bit, but it tends to really aggravate my unstable right SI joint. So find yourself getting nice and tall. Buttocks, bones down, crown of the head gently reaching up. I just recorded a meditation this morning that was about spaciousness, so that's on my mind, but try to feel the spaciousness of your body. Feeling out even beyond the skin, out into your electromagnetic field. That's what modern science calls it. Aura is what yoga calls it. And I'm hoping we don't have to pull the belly in or really get that corset active, right? But just by lengthening the spine and just kind of bringing our awareness to that space, hopefully there's this really gentle support without being aggressive. Hands together in front of your chest, inhale. And as you bow that head and just taking a moment of gratitude. I'm grateful for you all. Namaste. May you be well, my friends. May all beings everywhere be well. No exception.